following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello, good evening and welcome back to Celtic World Order. I'm always Steve O'Matt and it's an absolute pleasure to be joined by my bearded brother, Paddy Boy. Paddy, how are we, my friend?
Not too bad, as you can see, back at work, but I'll never let it stop us following the Celtic, so
That's it.
Here we are.
Making time for Celtic, that's what it's all about, isn't it? And so I say, welcome back to every single person who's watching us, whether you're going to be joining us live or whether it is indeed retrospectively. We completely love all the support that we've been getting from you. The channel is growing, the subscriber base is growing, and that's thanks to everybody putting in the effort to watch, to share the content and get this community growing. As we say, our operation is small, but there's some rapid expansion gradually happening there, and thank you to everybody for doing that. So if you're new to the channel, if you like what we see in here, take 2 seconds, just make sure you hit that bell icon, get subscribed. That way every time we go live you will get notified and you'll never miss a beat. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to help it a wee bit more, then you just give it a share. It just gets more eyeballs in this room and helps the expansion. If you want to be a member, if you want to donate to the channel, completely optional. It doesn't get you any additional content, but it just helps us with the general running, and throughout time we'll be looking to reinvest that into giving back to you people out there who are watching it. As we say, it's completely optional, but you can donate and become a member, like the original, the OG member himself is Mr. 420 somewhere. Hello and welcome back. He was the original, the founding father of the members, so thank you very much. If you want to connect elsewhere, of course, we are on X at CWPod1888. And again, we might just get rid of it, who knows, but it's a gaff. It's on Facebook at Celtic World Order Podcast. Paddy, it's still been a very slow week, is it not? We had a game, that we took in against Ayr United, and it was as you'd expect when it was pre-season friendly fair. It was a bit of nonsense. So look at this, just straight in. Thank you very much there. He's going to be sharing the love, so people get yourselves in here and get involved, because 420 is helping expand that. No more, he says. That's more than enough. Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be some people out there happy to get that membership badge. But as we say, Paddy, pre-season game, it was very much pre-season fair. Yeah. The big boys pretty much not back. It was a very much a shadow side. So we'll sit and we'll have a wee chat about it. It was uneventful to say the least. But as the theme says for this episode, is it's pretty clear that reinforcements are essential in it. We need players in. Just under 2 weeks' time, we find ourselves going over to America for the next leg of the pre-season. And there's going to be some sterner tests, because it's going to be some Premier League opponents in the face of Chelsea and obviously Man City. And we're playing one of the MLS's top teams. Mm-hmm. And based on what we saw against Ayr, we don't want to be going over and not only selling ourselves as a club shop, but the fans that are putting in the money, because you can't be going over there and playing that kind of team, can you?
No, definitely not. At the end of the day, when the fans are coming to see Celtic, they want to see the big boys. Obviously, yes, a few of them are still away playing. And good luck to Alistair Johnson against Argentina. I must say, the wee man's been doing absolutely brilliant out there. Yep. He's doing us proud. But yeah, once we get all our guys back, seeing Bain in goals, just I get fear every time. You know, you've got the same feelings as me with the guy. Yep. Pre-season, you do expect a lot of changes. However, there was a lot of names in there that, even to myself, were a bit out there, shall I say. And the performance kind of showed that.
I think it was very much a case. It was more necessity, wasn't it? As we said, we've got big gaps in our squad. A lot of guys that wouldn't have been normally in the run of things that have been there weren't really there. However, that's probably why we got a lot of the young guys in, and it gives a look at them. So anyway, let's just have a wee quick look. This is how we shaped up. Obviously, we get wholesale changes. We ended up with a different team pretty much. We'll get covering that. And in terms of normal, when we look at games. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to break down. And unfortunately, there isn't really much, but we'll touch on what we did see off it. So this is how we kicked off. The Baniac, again, you got some young names in there. Deddy Welsh was the captain for the day. Narotsky, we'll get on to him. Kobayashi, what a blast for the pass there. Awata, your home. Kun, Kyle, and Kyogo. So it was a mixture of faces that you know, faces that you don't want to see. Exactly. But we shaped up. We're playing against a championship side. Yes, very well organised under Scott Brown, but at the end of the day, they are a championship side. And it was very much, as I say, it was very pre-season. It was all over the back pre-season. There was nothing really to actually write home about. The first thing, when we looked at that, you've obviously the boy Deddy thinking, yep, maybe a decent enough. Someday we maybe want to have a wee look at. The main thing is, when we talk about this game, Paddy, and I'm sure you'll agree, any praise that we're going to give to maybe one or two names, it's not because we think that they're the answer.
Yeah.
It's not because we think that. We can only look at what you saw and give praise where it's due, is it not?
Yeah, 100%. You're not going to look at this squad and go, oh, definitely, he's a starter for next season. Let's be honest, these guys, they're fringe players, they're possible substitutes, people who are going to come on and replace any injured players or stuff like that. These aren't going to be that's never going to be a starting 11 in the Premier League, let's face it.
Well, we sat there and we says, certain guys, I says to you last time we came on, if you can't have a good game against Ayr United, then it's a bad day. And yeah, let's get on to Narotsky because it was a bad day. 19 minutes in, and he's done. He's injured. First out in the season, he's injured. Don't know what he's made of. Maybe he's made of chocolate. But it seems to be, unfortunately, a recurring theme. And we got Agbear making way for him, the youngster again, coming in. I just want to touch on Narotsky. Listen, injuries do happen. But injuries seem to be happening a wee bit, did they not? I wasn't so sure at the time when I was watching. I don't know if you were, if you saw how the injury came about. We've not heard anything back with regards to the severity of that injury, but certainly we sat here and we were talking and thinking, Narotsky, here's a guy that we want to see a bit more from. Oh, Paddy's dropped out at the moment. We're sitting there and was thinking, here's a guy that we want to see a bit more out of. We want to see a bit more from Narotsky. We want to see him as being potentially a guy who could push on and, claim a place in the starting lineup moving forward. 19 minutes in and he picks up an injury. My concern, let us know what you're thinking about it there is, my concern around the situation with Narotsky is at times since we signed him, we put out a decent amount of money for him, £4.5 million. I think everybody was expecting him to be almost in that sort of mould of a Carter Vickers quality-wise. He came to us, and if you look at what he'd done before when he came over from Poland, he's only played around about 60 first-team senior games in his career prior to coming to Celtic. And last season, I think he was around about 10 to maybe 15 games maximum appearances, that is, for Celtic before injuries. And then, of course, just not even getting a look in. So my concern there is this going to be a recurring theme? Is he going to be very much a guy similarly to in the mould of Simunovic, where you're looking and thinking, this guy could be a good player, but you're not going to get enough time out of him? And is that a concern? Is how are people feeling there? Obviously, 420's mentioned, he's saying he's heard Lagerbielke is also injured as well. News to myself there. To be fair, it maybe makes a bit of sense because I was surprised that I didn't see his name in around the squad because it was wholesale squad changes and it was a chance for everybody and anybody to get some game time. Obviously, he didn't feature and that would be a bit of a worry. And yep, you're right, Paul. People won't buy Lagerbielke if he is injury prone. Certainly, there's still been that talk that there is teams actually genuinely interested in him. Whether or not that comes to fruition is another different thing altogether. There's Paddy back. Wee bit of a gremlin there, mate, was it?
Yeah, the meter ran out, 420 says I had to go run and put a couple of quid in it.
I mean, in fairness, you are on a big metal thing in the middle of the sea, so I'm not expecting it to be top quality Wi-Fi, is it? But
what actually happened is they give us 2 gig of data all day, and I logged my data in order to launch the podcast, and it chewed it up, basically. That's kind of
dear.
what happened. So I'll get a better login for next time.
You do that. So just before you dipped out, as I was saying there, Paddy, Narotsky, he was a guy that we sat and we says he should be looking to push on a good pre-season under his belt, get some performances in there, maybe show what we paid £4.5 million for. But as I did voice there, somewhat concerning that prior to coming to Celtic, he had only about 60 to 65, I think, senior appearances previously coming from Poland, interspersed with some injuries as well as, just not playing so often. He then came to us and he only put in about, I think it was between 10 and 15 appearances, not full games at Celtic, interspersed again with quite a few injuries.
Yeah.
First game of the season here, pre-season, and he's off after 19 minutes. Is this going to be another Simunovic type situation where there's a player in there, but you don't get to play him enough?
Aye, it looks like it. Looks like the guy's made of glass every time somebody touches him or gets anywhere near him, he's down. And sometimes it doesn't even, I mean, he's not looked that bad. It's not as if he's had horrific tackles against him.
Yeah.
It's slight knocks and it's here and there. It's the issues with him. It's not with what he's been up against around. Yeah, to me, it is another Simunovic. Like you say, there could be a good player in there. Have we seen it? Probably not.
Well, here's another thing as well. I just want to ask, and it was something that whenever we were getting hamstrings popping left, right, and centre. It was the injury of choice at Celtic for a long period. It was sort of riddled with that even a wee bit last season. Certainly under Ange, it was constantly all the time.
Yeah.
Again, this is just generalising here, but is there maybe something in the training methods? We're talking about how we need to be levelling up across the board, and we hear the manager talking about wanting to improve facilities like sports science and all this kind of thing. Is it maybe just bad luck, or is there, sometimes you create your own bad luck, and maybe are Celtic doing that way? Maybe what we're not doing behind the scenes for welfare of players?
Well, it could be. Like you said, under Ange, when Ange came in, everything was a higher tempo. And you kind of saw a tiredness when we first started playing under Ange. And then obviously towards the end of the season, we gradually got better and better and fitter and fitter. And that's when we started absolutely demolishing sides. I think if you come to a club with the stature of Celtic, you need to be a certain stature of player. Mm-hmm. And to me, I don't think Narotsky cuts that bill.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's hard to tell. He came on and he was replaced by the youngster Agber, who we will get round to. Looked okay. Okay being the key point here. It was, as we said, it was a completely makeshift, very inexperienced young back four that we had. Given take Welsh as a bit of experience there, but he's not really going to sort of squire a young team that very well, and certainly Bain in behind him is not exactly a guy who's going to be filling you up with confidence as well. But as we say, the action was very, very slow, but it was a familiar face that got us off the mark, and it came by a way of penalty. One of the other guys that we'd be looking for was Thiago Holm, and he was a guy that was actually the source of the penalty. He done quite well, actually. He managed to nip in ahead of the boy, gets brought down. It's a stonewall penalty, the easiest decision the the referee to make all day long. And it's Kyogo that stood up. Now, obviously, there's our normal penalty takers aren't there, no matter really. These guys are not back. But he turns up and he dispatches it quite easily enough. 1-0. It's a penalty, it is what it is. He takes it well, does he not pass the goalkeeper? And you've been mentioning it. Why has Kyogo never stepped up for a penalty? Obviously, he's not the normal choice of penalty taker, but does that get him? Does he carry on from now on?
I think he's got a 100% record, so why not? We go on. For me, your striker should always be your first choice. I know you've got cracking midfielders out there taking penalties, whatever, but if your striker's not comfortable hitting a shot for the penalty spot with nobody in front of him, apart from a keeper, then what's he doing? You should be confident for there. Look at guys like Alan Shearer. I used to love watching Shearer take penalties. He used to ping them straight into the tap bin pretty much every time. They were unstoppable. I want to see that for your guys. I don't want these ones where you're taking 2-3 steps and a wee jump to the left and then kicking it and stuff like that. I'd like to see Matt O'Reilly's Panenka pretty much every week as well. That was lovely, but
I mean, it's early. It's the first, it's the first ball kick to the season. But strikers, they want confidence, and there can't be anything better, surely, than starting off your first outing by getting a goal, no matter what way it comes round, just for the general confidence on him. That's got to be a positive to it. But as you said, it was a story, a game of 2 penalties in the end, because equaliser comes for Ayr via way a penalty. And as young Agbear, we talk about the sort of inexperience, and that's what it was shown. Ayr, they're a not bad team. I would always argue the toss, and you could say that maybe any Celtic team, this is maybe going to be more when we talk about the second half here, but I would always feel that any Celtic team of a certain quality should be able to contain lesser teams, if you will. And the fragility of a young side was there, because it's an easy ball through. Agbear finds himself, he's a wee bit of 6s and 7s, and he just takes the boy down. I mean, it's as clear as day, he just hauls him down the deck, penalty given away. Boy steps up. Bain does that kid on, look, I've fallen over. The ball gets in, it's one each. But a very low quality first half, and that was pretty much all that they wrote, wasn't it? Were you sort of a wee bit frustrated watching it, that I know it's the first game, and I know, don't read into it, don't shoot us here, we're just talking broadly. You're excited for the first game, no matter who it's against, and you want to see a wee bit more poise and purpose. It looked like 2 average teams just jostling for position, did it not? It was a bit sort of 100 miles an hour with no quality at either end.
Yeah, to me, I know it was against Scott Brown, and it was a kind of, to me, it looked like a charity match, didn't it? It was just kick the ball about, a wee bit of laugh here and there, and there wasn't any ambition to it. We didn't go out there to go, right, these guys are going to be pushing into the squad, or this is the guys that we're going to have to look at next season. And that's what you kind of wanted. You want to go in there and you want to go, right, well, give these young boys a wee chance. Let's have a wee look at them and see what they've got, see if they've got a bit about them, see if maybe we've not went out a cracking left back because we've got one sitting there in the youth squad or something like that. So to me, the vibe of a charity match all over it, and it wasn't really what I was planning on watching, to be honest.
No, so, that's the thing. It was a hard watch. Yeah. We sat there and, as you say, took the words out of my mouth. You ended up getting fed up with it. But, we've been deprived, we've been starved of Celtic footballing-wise for so long that you just are willing to grind through it. So we get to half-time, and as I say, it's wholesale. I've had to write this down because I'll never remember all this. So, a full raft of changes, because we get Olawemi comes in for the Baniac. We get Yang, we get O, we get Kwon, we get Boss and Wow, who's a guy who we will get round to talking about, I'm sure, Paddy. Frame, Murray, Bonner, Donovan and Hatton, they all make way for wholesale changes at the second half. Now, the reason I want to mention this, as we said, it's a bounce match, you would call it. It's a friendly. It had that sort of leisurely walking pace of just nobody cares. But as I say, in the sort of description, if you will, for tonight's show, it was pretty shown that guys who are maybe on the fringe but have been in the equation of being in a first team squad last season, it still shows that they're maybe not quite up to the mark. Obviously, in that first half, with guys at home, Awata, relatively, I thought, put herself about. Awata, I thought, was very tidy. I didn't think he'd done anything wrong, but he's playing against Ayr, didn't really put under much pressure. We've been told about home having this great burst of energy and skill. For me, he just cruised through the game, did he not? He didn't show anything to go, wow, look at this. This is what we've been missing. Kobayashi, I still think he's garbage, but he got away with it because he's playing against Ayr. So, but guys like O and Yang, you need to be talking about them, because there's 2 that I didn't necessarily were too impressed with. For me, just to touch on that first half, I don't know what you thought of him. I thought Kuhn looked all right, Paddy. I thought he looked like he was trying to do the right things. Again, take with a pinch of salt who he's playing against, but I thought he didn't look too bad. And as I say, guys like Awata just looked tidy. No, didn't tell you anything you didn't already know.
No, that's it. Kuhn, he likes to dive forward. He likes to try and get the ball into the box, things like that. He done more than what we've seen for other wingers previously. So for me, Kuhn, there's a player in there, I think, going forward. He's maybe one taking a look at. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, Kuhn, he was a bit sort of hot and cold last season. You'd like to hope that now he knows that expectancy. He knows what's to be, what we expect out of our players, the standard, more to do with the actual attacking style and showing a bit of purpose. He was trying to do that. He was trying to pick up the ball. He was showing a wee bit more of the glimpses that we did see from him, again, without setting the header alight and going, wow, this is amazing. But he was trying to get in behind, which was nice because he was always kind of found prone to cutting in. He was trying to work his way around the back and get in some supply. But again, we always talk about Kyogo and how he maybe doesn't get so involved in games. We've said time and time again, it's all about the quality that's around him. He wasn't going to get the same sort of service in that first half, was he? The way we had out help him.
No, definitely not.
But so as we say, wholesale changes, and to be honest, again, there was absolutely nothing really at all to write home about. I just want to go through a couple of the players. The goalkeeper, barely tested. You can't really say too much there. But for me, the ones that really disappointed me were Yang, O, and Kwon. Now, Kwon went out on loan to St Mirren, and by all accounts, he was quite well liked there. We'd had this discussion where we said we thought he found his level. Well due respect, he found his level. He came for the second division in Korea, and then he comes to Celtic. He's not going to make that sudden step up. And against a team like Ayr, he still looked a bit ropey, didn't it? A bit sort of wanting, a bit sort of lost in the shuffle.
I don't get the guy. I don't know what St Mirren's seen in him. Every time I've watched him, he's just an average runner. If you put him in any team, he would just get lost in there. For me, he's not a quality footballer. He's not what we need in the team. Somebody else was saying there in the chat, Paul, saying about why play O since he's off. I had no idea. I really don't have a clue why O got put on. Maybe it was his chance to say cheerio to the fans or something. But I just hope they do actually sell him.
This is the thing. Is that for you risky? Does that maybe suggest to you that despite things looking that they were at a advanced stage, if you will, with O, that it's maybe not quite settled, so you're just playing him because he's there? Because surely if you've got a guy who is 100% all but signed and sealed and almost out the door, do you play him in a game? Do you really?
But I don't know what the thinking behind it is. I just hope it was a game actually watching it, because then they'll see how garbage it actually is.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, also, Punch is saying he played because there's nobody else, and I get that. That's what we said. A lot of these guys were barred by design. They had to play because we just had to fill out a squad and give guys less than minutes. But I do see a wee bit of the point as well that you treat the game maybe with the contempt that it kind of deserves, albeit I know we're sitting here and sort of bemoaning some of the poor performances. But if you get a guy that you're trying to sell and you want to protect that potential asset, you don't play him if he you don't have to. And it was very, very disappointing for me. Very disappointing. I think he had one decent chance where he flashed the header wide, if you recall that. The ball comes in. But again, you talked about you don't get Kwon. And people say us to the cows come up with me. I see a player in there. I see something in O. You were taking a significant step down in the opposition he was playing against. And he still just looked like he was running a bit like a headless chicken, for lack of a better term. He wasn't getting the ball, he wasn't picking up, he wasn't finding good positions. And I understand that supply-wise, he maybe didn't have the same talent around him. But that's where good players make their chances.
Exactly.
And there was none of that. It was, for me, it was a lot of running about with nothing to show for it.
Aye, and that's it. Run about all day. He's like a footballer for me. He's had his chance. He's come up against, like you say, Ayr. It's not exactly riveting competition, is it? So for me, the chance to go out and actually put a few balls in the back of the net against boys that are pretty much, I'm not going to say part-time footballers, but they're not exactly the level that we've been playing against previously. So Aye, he should be doing a lot better than what he did.
But that's the thing. So we had him, as I said, another one that I wasn't. Kwon was Kwon. Like, listen, let's not labour that, right? He is, but it is. He's very much found himself. I think these guys that need to go back out on loan. The other one was Yang. Now, you and I have sat here throughout the course of that last season, and we have bemoaned him. We've hung him out to dry a couple of times, give a wee bit of the benefit of the doubt, but he's just another guy that, for me, he just doesn't show enough. And it'll be interesting to see how these guys and where these guys find themselves come the beginning of the season. I believe our game's either the 4th or the 5th of August. So we're a couple of weeks away. We're like, just about 3 weeks or so away from the real serious stuff kicking off and starting. We've obviously got a wee pit stop over in the USA for, again, a wee glorified kickabout, but that's going to be with a higher level of opposition. And Yang in particular, as I says, he comes on, and we spoke about Kuhn and how he was trying to do the right things. He was trying to get involved. He looks as if he's maybe get a wee bit more around him physically, playing against Ayr. One or two times to sort of, ride his luck and get past sort of, sort of harder, challenging guys as well, putting herself about a bit there. Yang still has that very lightweight, tippy-tappy, no substance for me.
Yeah.
And, it summed up, he had a great chance where he get played in. Well, one of the standouts for the 45 he was on was Boston Lau. Again, we'll get on to him. I thought I was very impressed with him. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he is the answer, but out of all those guys that are on the periphery, if there's one guy that I looked at and thought, right, let's see what he's got to offer in the next 4 games, and then make a decision on him. If he can put in something a bit more, then he might be a bit of an option to have in the squad, not as a solution, but an option.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be talking about pathways, if we're going to be talking about developing, then that's one to do it. But anyway, Lau finds his way through. A great run, a great, mazy run, bursts through, very powerful, plays it through to Yang, and he just blazes it high and wide. It's a great chance. In a game with little to no chances, he gets one put on a plate for him, and he just balloons it. And I think that pretty much summed up the quality of the game and the quality of some of these sort of fringe guys, did it not?
100%. You're talking about Yang there with chances. We've seen that time and time again when the ball gets played and he's facing a kind of open goal. All you got to do is slot it away, and he just blitters it into Rowe's head. Talking as well about Bosun Lowell. There was rumours, obviously, when he was coming back that he was absolutely flying down there and he was in the form of his life, and it was great to see him coming back, and everybody was excited to get him back into the club. I think he left as a centre back, basically, didn't he? And he's come back like a kind of midfielder, kind of charging forward role.
We'll see with Boston Lau. Now, I just want to touch on him because you and I, before we came on, we had a wee chat about him, and we were quite positive. For me, in that game, you take it at face value, and I thought it very much, as we say, it was the glorified training match, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
But here was a guy that came on, and he looked like he was given the game the purpose that they're designed for, to show what he had.
Yeah.
There was a lot of going through the motions. Touched on Kuhn, I thought he was doing the right things. He was trying to, push himself forward and trying to look the part. Fair play to him. He is another guy that realised that every opportunity is an opportunity and you've got to try and grasp it. Some just get through the motions. The young guys, I can't really give, positives or negatives about them. They're just happy to be playing for Celtic, and I think what you see is pretty much what you're going to get. I'm not going to blow your socks off. But Boston Lau, for me, looked like something that we've been missing. Now, again,
he's a unit.
I understand. I understand he's raw. Don't misconstrue what I'm about to say here. I am not saying he is the solution. I am not saying that he should be starting next season. Yeah. What I'm saying is there is something potentially there. It's all about how we nurture that.
Yeah.
I would definitely be giving him the next 4 games. I'd be trying to give him as much minutes as possible, but I would like to see how he sits in a midfield with some more of the senior guys around him. Yeah. Because he looked strong, didn't he? He looked strong, very athletic, good explosive power, as we've seen with the run when he burst through and he supplies Yang. But he looks like he's came back from Fleetwood, and that loan has benefited him no end, eh?
100%. You look at the size of the guy, he's a big boy. Reminds me of kind of Wanyama type player. You kind of need that in there when you're a team like Celtic. Callum's an incredible midfielder, and he's brilliant at what he does. But you need a unit beside him. You need a big bully in there, and I think he kind of fits the bill for me. I quite like that. But then who do you drop in that Celtic team to put him in? If you've got Rio Hatate, and if we get Bernardo, obviously, and keep O'Reilly, then again, you're not going to put him in front of any of them, are you?
But see, that's the thing then, Paddy, and that is the question. So we look at some of these fringe guys, and we obviously know we need to take quality, and that's the underlying point that we're going to get on to, that we need quality sooner rather than later. We all talk about pathways, and like the guys like Frame, Murray, you know, those are names that have been in and around before, so you would like to think that they're kind of on the ladder to working there. The rest of them, as I say, is Olabemi, Bonner, Donovan, Hatton. They're just names. They're neither here nor there. Dede, you know, Agbears. They're just names. They're just getting a game because it's what happens. Don't expect to see any of them in and around. But Lyle's a guy who went out and he played a solid full season for Fleetwood. Very much impressed with him. I don't know, you know, much about the lower leagues of England, how much that standard is. I would certainly say it's going to be a lot better than playing for the Celtic B team against guys like Civil Service Stores and the likes. You know, that, I think that's very fair to say. The question is it going to be closer to maybe playing lower quality Scottish teams, for example? Is he the kind of guy that you keep around the squad and you give him game time in the cups? Is he the kind of guy that you have him on the bench and you maybe bring him on, say if you're playing, I don't know, like a St Johnstone or something, and you're cruising? Do you bring him on?
He's a guy that's going to solidify the midfield, let's be honest. If you do kind of what you do with your keepers, you give your reserve keeper a wee chance in the cup, don't you?
We need a keeper to begin with, maybe.
A shot in there, yeah. Let's see how it works out. Like you say, there's a lot of positives to his game. They like to go forward. They seem to be pushing. You need to be a big lad to get past him as well. I think it was one of the guys in there that Anton Rogan's left foot says was like a skinny baldy. I like that. That's a great shout. It really is. Like a ball in the middle of the park.
But the thing is what I want to touch on is Roger said at the end here, and I found this quite interesting, where he praised him, and he obviously, as we did, he had some right good things to say about him, positive things to say about him. But he then also said, I want to see him in a couple of different positions. And as soon as he said that, I kind of almost went, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
We've tried him at centre half. I seen him at centre half in a pre-season last year, and he was horrendous. See any of this positivity that I've got off that 145 minutes, I'm not getting carried away. You're taking that away. If he's going to be a midfielder, he's been playing at Fleetwood as a midfielder. He's been in and around Ireland setups as a midfielder. Then why try to convert him to any other position? Why do we do this at Celtic? Why do we try to get, you know, Swiss Army knife players, utility players? What play at your strengths?
Yeah, no, 100%. As in, we've seen him try to be a centre back. It didn't work. We sent him down to Fleetwood, and obviously they seen something down there and decided, you know what, this guy's not a centre back. He's actually a kind of holding midfielder. So let's play him there. And so, by all accounts, they were delighted with him. I think they were actually wanting to keep him, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Obviously, John's saying he's like they're like Elgin City or Rangers at the moment. Right. I mean, as I says, I don't know enough about down there. All I know is he's got senior games under his belt. He played, and again, we have to take that with a wee pinch of salt because it's a different kettle of fish. It's really leveling up when you're having to play for Celtic. But we talk about pathways. We talk about, you know, bringing guys in and giving opportunity. Certainly, it doesn't look like he lacks the physicality or the stature. Maybe, you know, he doesn't quite have the fitness levels. That's probably fair to say because there's a difference between being fit and being elite. He maybe doesn't have that, But that's something we can work at. So he's maybe a guy that I wouldn't be too adverse to having maybe in around the squad and trying to drip feed and integrate in, get a bit of time in it as an option. Or do you think Celtic will go down the loan route again with him? See how these guys that we spoke about, Kwon, Yang, Wow, would you think they'd be best served to be loaned out? Is that maybe a good route to go
Yang,
down?
hopefully we sell him. Yang, I would like to see go out on loan, just to kind of get him off the squad, to be fair. Wobble, I'd like to keep him there, like you said, possibly give him a run in the cups and stuff like that. Couple of our younger boys, if you think it's going to benefit them, then send them out to kind of lower league Scottish teams and get them a bit of game time and stuff like that.
I mean, is there maybe some leverage in that, using that connection with Scott Brown and Ayr? Now, I don't want, I'm sure Ayr fans don't want Ayr to be a dumping ground for Celtic sort of, also runs, but it's pretty clear that the manager and Scott Brown have a good relationship, a good working relationship, and they're still quite close. And they're a championship team. It's not a bad level to get guys out on loan at, is it?
No, definitely. Who was the young who scored the penalty for Ayr? Can we sign him?
Who scored a penalty?
Sign him, take it.
Well, this is the thing. You've got guys there. Obviously, we sent Kwon out to St Mirren before. Yeah. Ideally, you would like to send guys out on loan, but I'm thinking more along the lines of the younger guys that we maybe get promised for, the likes of, Montgomery, Murray, Frame. Wow. If you're not going to play them, I would probably rather loan them out to the Championship in Scotland, the likes of Ayr or somebody like that, rather than having them play, as I say, civil service throwers and the bloody well B League. I don't think that's going to service you. I think it's important that we get them playing at a certain level. And that's the sort of best thing to do. And that's the thing as well. John's asked the question, why don't we bring back the reserve league for the youth players? It's quite frankly just money. I spoke about this before. I said that I was a great advocate for bringing that back. I actually had suggested, again, it's easy for me sitting here as an armchair fan and an armchair football sort of commentator. And I'd suggested, look, it costs money. Money first and foremost, as teams maybe can't afford to do it. But let's just say you had 6 teams, for talking's sake, that could do it, right? And you go League 3, League 2, and you put 3 in one league and 3 in the other league. And in short, the way it works is, if you can never win the league, you theoretically can't win the league. So these 3 teams play a mini league amongst themselves. The bottom 2, out of the 3, they drop down. And the top 2 for the other one come up, and you just work it that way. They can never win the league, but it makes it competitive. Again, that's very idealistic. That was sort of something that I'd sort of tried to champion as an option to go with, but I don't think it's going to work. I think, unfortunately for Celtic, if they are serious about developing these players, without a proper reserve league, I think we just need to be looking at loaning them out to actual teams within the footballing pyramid rather than getting them to play in this lower league thing. I think that lower league thing is all right if you want to toughen up young guys that are maybe 16, 17. But if you're in that bracket where you're 18, 19, where you should be more senior, you need to be playing proper football against a certain standard of players. And obviously, again, Lau going down to Fleetwood, prime example. We've seen that as well. We've seen Ayr going out to Kilmarnock, done him great turns. Christie, Aberdeen, done him great turns. That's the route that Celtic need to be going. If they've got any of these guys that they've actually got an eye on and think they might just make it, you need to be putting them out to quality teams. You can't be allowing them to play in that dog shit, lower league nonsense.
Yeah, 100%. And like John's saying as well, they're talking about McCarthy. We've made our opinions clear with him. He's just sitting there stealing a wage. He should just do the right thing and do one, basically. He should be loaned out to somebody. I'd give him a year.
Well, a few more folk coming in, and they'll come in there as well. There's Smell Guff. I don't actually know what you mean there. Am I looking a bit tanned or something? But no, I'm no, mate. But welcome in. But nah, as it says, let's just finish off on that one. The game was very much, it just fizzled out. There was not much to it. We get another wee sort of cameo. Ollie went off, and we get Josh Clark that came on. 3 keepers for the price of 1 game. And again, didn't really do much. But one thing that Josh Clark did do, that the other goalkeepers, well, being had a chance to do it and didn't do it, was make a save, because he actually saved our skin. He saved the blushes. Well, a brilliant save, to be fair. A point-blank header for the centre of the goal, and he kept it at 1 each, and he kept spared their blushes. But that was it. That was all she wrote. A very, as you say, training match, bounce match feel to it, and that was it. So, aye, we move on. The next game, we've got Queen's Park. It's pretty much going to be the same fare again. We're going to have to sit and talk about these same guys.
Yeah, I hope not, but aye, it's pretty much going to be that. I hope they use it to unveil a couple of signings.
Chance for a thing, won't it?
I know. It's me being the forever optimist that I am.
So, as we said, Paddy, let's just sort of get into the bones of it. We need quality. I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall, because we say the same thing. The manager at the end, obviously, the comments that he mentioned about wall and one, what trying to cut up positions. He was asked the question, and he was very coy. He was very relaxed. He was very sort of, he just batted it away, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he was asked, obviously, about the sort of goalkeeping position. There was a couple of names, as you've seen it as well through it, and he says names were getting fired at him, and it'll be a good one. We need to know. Like, mate, it's 4 months. It's only 4 months. We know that we need a goalkeeper. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And the name Casper Schmeichel get thrown at him. You seen it? And he's like, "Oh, my Casper would be a good one, but we're looking at it." And I'm thinking, "Oh, here we go, man. Seriously."
Do you know? I said it before. Casper is a cracking goalkeeper. It really is. Do I think Celtic can afford these wages? Probably not. I think.
Well, here's the thing, Paddy. To jump in, he's free. He's 37.
Yeah.
He's played at the Euros.
Yeah.
Now, we've sat and spoke about Dubravka.
Yeah.
Similar age, similar profile.
Yeah.
Is one better than the other? Is it the same thing? Is it, is it two faces of the same coin?
Pretty much, innit? You're kind of looking at keepers of that age, and it's Dubravka's younger, isn't he?
No, I think he's pretty much if we're talking younger, we're talking months. We're not talking a significant chunk.
Aye,
so we're talking about guys that are 37 here.
Yeah, we're going to get about a year or 2 years out of them. Basically, that's it. It'd be good. It'd be a good signing. Like you said, two sides of the one coin. It's basically what they are. I thought they both had an alright Euros. I thought they're both decent enough keepers. Schmeichel's is probably the kind of bigger name that you think, obviously because he's dad, and Brendan's got the link with him because he's played with him at Leicester. Things like that. Watched Dubravka a few of his games. I think did he play against Croatia? Am I right?
He had a decent Euros. I thought he had a decent Euros. I saw a few folk giving him a kicking in his sort of last game, but I think by and large he showed the right sort of qualities for a goalkeeper. You got to remember who they're playing against in these tournaments.
Yes.
And similar with Schmeichel as well. I didn't think he'd a necessarily bad outing there, but I think I'm almost reserved to the fact that Celtic will sign a goalkeeper who fits the bill of being experienced, probably out of contract or nominal, getting given away fee. As I says, I am not against it. I've been a great advocate of that. Bayer says, I think if you can get two guys out, these sort of guys, it gives you a wee bit of stability for that period of time. I also said that I would like to see us sign someone of that profile, and maybe someone that is a bit younger, that's the natural successor to step up, who you'd maybe have as your cup goalkeeper, maybe. You know what I mean? To get them those minutes. Obviously, that comes with a debate as well, because when you play at Celtic, every tournament is as important as the next. You've got to win them all. So would we do that approach? I really don't know. Fans would maybe got on board with it if it was, say, the League Cup, and it was, I intend to, from the offset, use this to develop players.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get to the business end and you sort of change that up a wee bit. But I think that's pretty much the profile a goalkeeper want. The thing is, it's all about the timing. As we say, it's 4 months in now, and we're not anywhere near it. I think that's the biggest concern. Here's another thing, though, that I'd actually want to bring up. So Brendan Rodgers, we've got to read this out verbatim, and he was obviously asked about the signing situation, and he says, we could have had 9 players in by now if we wanted. It's all about the right players to improve the squad. Sometimes that takes a bit of patience. The club are working away hard in the background. It's a difficult time at this point of the transfer window, but I'm hopeful of our getting 1 or 2 in.
1 or 2.
Is that just lip service, mate? Well, obviously he was getting asked the question, they were pointing towards, we're into pre-season, where are the players? The 1 or 2, and I've seen the comments there swirling that supposedly, it was news to me, I'll need to check that out, that there's been a wee bit of movement with the Bernardo situation in terms of that. So that's obviously one that might be getting over the line. I think we would have expected, we said this before, we would have expected the 2 to have been Ida and Bernardo. It doesn't strengthen us from last season. It just kind of reinforces what we've had. But at this moment in time, Celtic are 3 players short. They're 3 lesser than we had at the turn of last season. We are weaker. We need to get these guys in. But my question is, Paddy, we heard this part last season, did we not? About we want to be shopping for a certain quality of player. And that was all around about when the big leagues declare their squads, you can maybe get some of the excess fat that needs trimmed that are undoubtedly going to be quality players, but they're not in a squad, and that's when you go for them.
Yeah.
Is this just becoming deja vu, mate? Is this becoming deja vu?
It is. It's completely deja vu, mate. When you think about it, previously, every season, we go through the same thing, and we hold off and hold off and hold off. Under Ange, we got things done quickly, and it was brilliant. It was excellent. We're sitting there come end of December, we're going, oh my God, we're actually going to do this. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, coming after December, when it was the 1st of January, we signed the 3 Japanese boys and things like that. So it was good to see stuff like that. We've had a long time to get a keeper in, and for me, it's not good enough. It really isn't.
No.
You don't want to be sitting waiting to the end and getting the scraps. And if Brendan's saying we could have 9 years in now that he's waiting in quality or whatever, I don't understand. There was all fallout with the club as well. I kind of touched on that as well when we're talking about the performances last season. There was a dip in our performance when Brendan came out and said that basically players weren't good enough. We needed a higher calibre of player, a higher quality of player. And that's maybe what he's waiting on, this higher quality of player. So I would like to see a bit of business done. They know the fans want Ida. Both players have said that they are more than happy to come back to Celtic. I was talking, like I said, to a lot of Irish boys in Portugal there, and they're absolutely buzzing with the performances that the big man's been putting in with Ireland, and they've credited that basically to the time that he's had at Celtic and the man. So he's kind of came back a more experienced and a better player. So I'd like to see a bit of movement on that, and hopefully, like the boys are saying in the chat, I have seen a few comments earlier saying that the Bernardo deal's pretty much over the line, so that would be excellent.
I think that was the bare minimum that we were expecting, was it not? The absolute bare minimum is what we were expecting to get, was those 2 in the door. You've got to think when I'm saying that 1 or 2, that sounds as if those are the ones that he's hinging, he's placing his bets on as being the expected ones. And I think going a tour of America, we need players in. The league starts the first week of August. Of course, we find ourselves being the second game again, because Rangers, for some reason, I don't know why, but Rangers are the opening game again. Go figure. But that's an irrelevance. The point is, we're just around about 3 weeks until that very first league opener. We are -3 and players from where we were last season.
Yeah.
And significantly, the goalkeeper is the big glaring gaping hole there.
Like,
of course, as well, we're talking about...
Steve, Paul says there as well, you can't sign a keeper with a week to go. These guys need time to bed in. They really do.
Now, see, kick back on that, Paddy. See the fact that he said about the goalkeeping situation, and he says about what it being a certain time, it's slightly difficult. Would that suggest to you that Dubravka, again, I'm just throwing out there because he was the sort of main one with a bit of beef around it, a bit of a sort of substance around it. He's obviously been at Euros and he's just finishing up. Does that suggest that it perhaps is someone that has been at that tournament? So. Now, I don't think it will be Kasper Schmeichel, and I wouldn't want to be. I think if I had the choice between Dubravka or him, I would go with Dubravka. All I'm saying is, does that suggest to you the fact that we have not got this over the line, that we've not done it, that's probably the most likely candidate that Celtic are looking at? Otherwise, he probably would have been done by now.
I spoke to a lad on here yesterday on the rig. He's very well connected in Newcastle Football Club, and he said that there had been an approach for Dubravka and that he would have liked to come to Celtic. That would have been his first choice. Apparently somebody else came in for him. Was it last year? Somebody put a bid in for him. I can't remember what team he'd said, but someone had put a bid in for him, and he basically said, no, I'm going to run out my contract and we'll see what happens for there. And obviously when Celtic approached, he was very interested. So according to him, it was pretty much a done deal. But again, I just kind of took it with a pinch of salt. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll kind of wait and see how it goes. I'd like to see him here, but again, as Punch says there, he wants his Newcastle wage. He's not going to get that at Celtic. We spoke about it so many times. We spoke about ways around it, maybe give them a signing on fee or something like that. Again, you want to come to a club like Celtic, you want to win medals, you want to end your career like Joe Hart did. Come do it.
So to cut to the chase on the signing policy, Paddy, we're going over to America for a pre-season tour.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's about what the manager's saying about getting the right people in, the right value, the right quality, all that kind of stuff. But the board, the manager and everybody else also need to remember the function of Celtic.
Yes.
They're a football club.
Yes.
For fans. Now, obviously, they're a business and an enterprise and everything else, but predominantly they are a football club, and they have a very fierce and loyal fan base that, dip their hand in their pockets every single season upon season without fail. There'll be guys, women, families, whatever, that'll be literally spending thousands that will coincide their summer holiday by going over to America and watching a couple of games and paying through the nose to do it. We can't go over there with no new faces, can we? And this is another thing as well. The club do this marketing of the pre-season. Come and see the new boys in action. Well, where are they?
Yeah.
Because there's none. So my question is, Paddy, we leave in about 12 days to go to America. How late is too late for players to be coming in the door?
It's already too late. I've said it before. We need to see action. We need to get a couple of players across the line. Like you said, there's 3 players essentially door. Matt O'Reilly looks like there's a lot of interest in the man as well. We spoke about it before, so I think with 4 players out the door. If he goes, that's 5. Although he was a fringe player to say the least. But yeah, there's a lot of outgoings. There's a lot of possible people leaving. But incoming, we've been linked with every single person that's either a free agent or is Irish. Let's be honest. If you're Irish or a free agent, you're linked with Celtic. It's as simple as that. I'd just like to see a bit of movement the right way. Use the Euros. Look at some of these guys in the Swiss squad or the Slovenia squad.
Well, do you know, the thing is, Paddy, we're talking about money, and money's been a big kicker. We know how much we've got. You touched on Alistair Johnson at the start there.
Yes.
Celtic are generating hand over fist for these guys going deep in competitions.
Yes.
People are forgetting that. Between the contributions of, be it for just the 3 games that they were there, and also of, your performances with Alistair Johnson. Celtic are on a couple of mil just for guys going and playing European international football during this window. It's money for old rope. So we've got money coming in. We've got money coming in from all different streams, including just our guys doing their job for their country. As I say, we need a player. We need players. I think the fans need a lift. I was very much played the patience game, where I was, we'll see how it goes. Pre-season's just back, but you've played your first game and there's no new face.
Yeah.
You've got another game coming up. I think it's a day's time or so, and then we're away on a plane. Just over 10 days time. We need at least 2 players. We need at least bare minimum. You need Ida and you need Bernardo in the door. But that's still not enough. I don't want us going to America. I do not want us going to America and playing Bain, Olawemi, Clark. I'm just not having it.
No, so it's definitely not good enough when you think about it. Scott Bain's been stealing away for a few years. To see him named as the first choice keeper against Ayr gave me the fear. I just started thinking towards the start of this season and saying, do you know what, see if we get to the start of this season and Bain's our first choice goalkeeper.
There's been a few that have said it and says, you know what, that's who we'll start with. And this is the concerning thing, because bear in mind the transfer window still runs into the first couple of games of the season, so it probably wouldn't surprise me. It would be one of the most Celtic things ever that we get maybe 2-3 games of Bain and then your goalkeeper comes in. But the point there is what's been said there, and I absolutely agree. This is the biggest concerning thing, and this is why I'm not buying this chatter for the manager about it's a difficult time. No, it's not. Go and have a look. Go to Sky Sports now and click on transfer window, and it is a big list of every team that's made and signed a player from all levels of football. From Premier League teams down to League 2 in Scotland, they will tell you players have been signed. Now, Premier League teams, Championship teams, even other teams in the Scottish League, are you trying to tell me that every player that they're bringing in is complete and utter guff? They might not be Celtic quality, of course, but they're bringing in guys that they've identified that they think are good enough to improve their first team squad. Yeah, we're not doing that, are we? That's the thing. We're not bringing these guys in, and we need to be doing it sooner rather than later. We can't sit about and wait to see what's happening. There's so many weeks to go before the start of the season, and absolutely nothing is happening. There's no movement, and I think the fans really need a wee shot in the arm, don't we? We need a bit of positivity. The bare minimum, and I keep saying it, the absolute bare minimum was Adamida and Bernardo. We've haggled, we've played hardball, we've played being tight with Bernardo, but hopefully, as the comments seem to be saying and picking up, that's something that's going to be getting pushed over the line sooner rather than later. Adamida, we knew exactly what we needed early on with the 4 months of Joe Hart doing the honourable thing and telling us, and we're still getting no movement in the goalkeeper position. That one is something that really, really worries me. Jim, an absolute gentleman, thank you very much. More memberships gifted, another donation there at the channel. So says thank you very much to everybody that's helping contribute to the channel. So says absolutely humbled by that you feel that worthy to help us out. As we says, everything that does go in here will be going directly back out there, and we'll be doing things around trying to give back to yourselves. So bear that in mind. It's not going to be getting into my pocket. It's not going into Paddy's pocket. It's not going to be going down our throat. We're going to be giving back as much as we possibly can. So thank you to everybody that's doing that. But look, we've got another game round the corner against Queen's Park. As we saw in the game against Ayr, it was a glorified walk in the park. It was a bounce match. It had all that training feel around about it. I think with some of the big guys that are on international breaks, they've been given a wee extended holiday. We're probably going to see very much the exact same sort of feel of a team that we've got. I would like to see maybe something that resembles more of a first team. I would have been looking to play guys like, I know we're hopefully going to sell them, but you've got to play guys like you've got to play guys like Yang, Kuhn, Boston Lau being one of the early standouts. You've got to get him in there and see how that develops. But it is important, and the question I say to you is out there, how late is too late? Are we already too late? Do we need to get our arse into gear, as they say, and get some people in the door sooner rather than later? Because I don't fancy our chances going over to America and playing against any version of a Man City team or a Chelsea team with what we've currently got at our disposal. You're getting guys back, getting them up to speed before the opener of the league, but it is just as important to get quality reinforcements in the door, integrate them into the team, try and make them feel part of the squad, get them familiar with the training methods, with the style of play, so that they can hit the ground running. That was my biggest concern there, was that we're not doing that. I'm not buying into this notion of I could have had 9 players in the door already. Well, yeah, I get that, Brendan, but you probably should have and could have had in at least 2 or 3, and we've still not got that. I just don't want to see a repeat of last season where we brought in desperate players, a real mixed bag of nonsense interspersed with 1 or 2 good things. We know the deficiencies that have been there, actually, even into Angie's season. We need that improved left back. We need another solid Carter Vickers assisted centre back. Yes, we've got Scales shown an option. Nawrocki's legs falling off again. Lagerbielke's apparently injured. The options just aren't good enough. Right back, we need something else there. It grows and it grows. If we get rid of we need 2 strikers. This is a lot of work and not enough time really to actually do it in. As I say, we're just about, 4 weeks until the start of the season. And that's terrifying. What I don't want to see is 11th hour scrambling about. I certainly also don't want to see Celtic bringing in 3 players between now and that opening curtain going up, and then scrambling about, getting in loan players before the transfer window slams shut. We're getting a Champions League. We're going to be playing 8 games. Celtic need to start acting like a big team. The format of it should give you a fighting chance to get yourself into that sort of top section that will allow you to progress in. It's not really a big ask. I think it's, yes, we're going to play some real quality teams, but you've got to look at it and say, with 4 home games, Celtic should be looking at it and thinking, you don't have to, you're not going to be finishing high up in the league, but you should be at least scraping over the line to get to the next level of progression, because you now don't have that drop-down system. You're not going to parachute into the Europa League, and likewise, if you're in that, you're not going to parachute down into the conference. It's really much now or never when it comes to Europe for Celtic. The format's been set out, and it's supposed to give teams like Celtic a fighting chance. But we can only give ourselves a fighting chance if we go and invest in the squad. Now, we saw wasn't great last year in the Champions League. Of course it wasn't. But we did see glimpses, albeit sometimes very fleeting, that just with a wee tiny splattering of absolute quality, I'm not talking massive, huge amounts of quality. You go to that Celtic team, the Champions League, and you went, see if we had another 3 players of that standard, then you could have turned those narrow defeats into draws, or your draw into a win. What a difference it could have made. It's all about fine margins, but I always say fine margins can be totally controlled. Thank you very much, Johnny Boy. We appreciate that. Those fine margins can completely be controlled, and with the amount of cash reserves that we've got behind us, with a manager who, no matter what you think of Brendan Rodgers, there's undoubtedly a top quality manager in there. But sometimes a manager, his tactics, they're only as good as the sum total of the parts that are available to him. He's been battering on for almost a full season now about wanting looking for, expecting, requiring quality, we need to start acting. We need to start getting it. There you go. League starts 3 weeks on Sunday. I don't know about yours, but to me, that puts a shudder right up my spine. Think about that. 3 weeks. I don't want 3 weeks' time lining up with Bain and goals. I don't want to be seeing Scales as a starter. I'm sorry. I just don't. I've said it time again. He's an option. He's not the solution. I don't want to see Greg Taylor at my left back. I just don't. Actions speak louder than words. And so far, that's all we've been served up is words. The manager needs to start being more direct again. Now, I understand that last season when he done that, it maybe belied the sort of faith and the goodwill that he built up by getting a couple of average players to punch above their weight when we were, sailing and cruising ahead in the league. And then we get that wee turn when he started talking about we need better, we need quality, and maybe it washed away some of the credit in the bank he had with the players. But do it now. Do it in pre-season. Do it while there's nothing at stake and start making that message clear to the board. Don't do it when you're into the season because then it might get the exact same net effect. But this is what we need to do. We need to start acting. Hopefully the comments that have been put in there are accurate and the Bernardo thing is something we're going to see in the next couple of days. The goalkeeping situation, if it is going to be, say, a Dubravka, now that the Euros and he'll be away and that's truly wound down for him, there's really no excuse. I expect to see 3 players in by the time we touch down in America, and I want one of those to be a goalkeeper. Well, anyway, that is us for the time being. I will be maybe back tomorrow. I'll be away to America, not to see Celtic though, but I'll be away to New York on Wednesday. But Paddy has been handed the driver's seat. He's been handed the keys, and it's up to him to run this. So he maybe will pop him up. I believe he's been a busy wee bee, and he's got some stuff. He's got some irons in the fire that hopefully they'll be coming out in due course. I'd like to be a part of them, but obviously we'll need to see what's going to be happening there. But as always, thank you to every single person for taking the time to join us. If you haven't done it, make sure you hit that thumbs up before you leave. And if you haven't done the subscribe, then what are you playing at? Hit the subscribe. Every time we go live, we will be there and you'll never miss a beat. We've also got a couple of random stuff, by the way. Folk had asked about these. We've just been very lazy. See if you want any. We have CWO magnets. Check that out. CWO magnets. We've got a big, massive ream of CWO stickers. So see if you want to go and stick that on a colleague's locker, your laptop, whatever. Get over to our X at CWO Pod 1888. Hit us up with a wee DM and we'll just post some stuff out to you if you want them. You can knock yourself out. We'll just post them out to you in a wee white envelope and you can go mental and get your fridge CWO'd out its nut. So anyway, that's us. Thank you very much for joining us. As I say, where you're live, we're about 50s there tonight or retrospectively. It is very much appreciated. So I'm going to get out your hair. You enjoy the rest of your night, whatever it is you're doing. And hopefully, just hopefully, by the end of this week, please Celtic, come on. We'll have something tangible to talk about, something to get excited about, and maybe some quality, as Brendan Rodgers has been calling for. So take care of yourselves and see you all later. Bye-bye now.